Mr. Primetime, our day after show. What's up, man?
Not too much, man. Drinking water tonight, letting the liver recover a little bit. Somber, not so angry. So let's have a show.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to cover, actually, which is always weird because, first of all, we want to thank everybody that watches our show, watches the live stream and everything else. We definitely appreciate it. We're learning along the way. We had some issues with commercials last night. So if we got inundated with commercials, it definitely wasn't our fault. We're a little bit new to all this. So I guess what we'll start out with first is the injury report. And this injury report, not only is it bad for the Jets, but it's going to put a little bullseye on Mr. Joe Douglas, because now things are getting quite interesting in terms of depth, in terms of how you're going to go with this team. So we'll start with Perriman. Perriman, ankle injury, out a couple weeks. So now you have no Bell, no Crowder, no Perriman, Hogan's banged up, and no Mims. So your wide receiver core is basically a mess. And we're going to ignore the fact that Robbie Anderson has 2 back-to-back 100-yard weeks. We're going to look at the fact that now this wide receiver group is a bona fide mess. Their failure to address it over the last 2 weeks by just counting on Josh Malone, never using Lawrence Cager, Dante Moncrief is sitting on injury reserve. I mean, the wide receiver group as a whole right now is a disaster.
And it's such a shame, too, because, Sam is still taking a lot of bullets from certain people, and yet he was
We'll
sixth.
get to him next. Don't worry.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was 6th according to PFF with what he was working with on Sunday. And again, you have guys like Lawrence Cager who had a strong training camp. I don't know where he is right now, but thinking you could just trot out guys like Hogan and Berrioza and not do anything at this point is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a point now where it's going to be like you're going to be signing guys that are going to be playing on Sunday. And that's a scary, scary notion. This is something we went back to with Sanchez and Geno and all those guys where you're like, man, and then you start feeling bad because then when they run the wrong routes or they drop passes, like what do you expect when you're signing a guy on Tuesday, he plays on Sunday, or now you're pressing guys that are completely unproven like Josh Malone and Lawrence Cager, and now you need something out of them. You're not a number 5 receiver, you're number 3, and that's so now it looks like, okay, what is Joe Douglas going to do now? Because now it's panic city mode where your quarterback, you can't even put together a professional offense on the field with what you're fielding. You can't. I mean, this wide receiver group's a joke. And, what does Joe Douglas do? He's got to do something, man. He's mishandled it to this point because he's had plenty of opportunities, plenty of guys been signed, and now injuries are happening all across the NFL. So it's not going to be just him, dude. Every team is looking for help. So now there's going to be a pecking order.
The problem is, though, with how bad this team is, do you really think at this point he's going to sacrifice long-term assets to try and salvage any portion of the season? And
is it salvaging your season or salvaging your quarterback? Like, at what point is Sam Darnold a priority for his team? Like, I'm tired of that excuse. I'm tired of the excuse. Like, what people are losing the fact of here is I don't give a fuck about wins and losses anymore. I care about Sam Darnold. Like, at some point, Jet fans are either like, fuck Sam, go to Trevor Lawrence, or, I feel bad for Sam. But, like, dude, the primary goal right now with 14 games left is find a way to put together an offense where your quarterback can at least do something to see, like, just be productive and competitive. Like, you can't mail in the next 14 games. Like, you know what? We're cool with Josh Malone. That's just fine.
The problem is you had 7 months to do this. You're still sitting on $30 million of cap space. You had Jamal Adams net you 2 first-round picks. So you have picks that you could deal. A second-round pick, third-round pick.
What the fuck is he waiting for?
Dude, at this point, though, now that you're seeing what this team is it really worth giving up?
Yes. It's worth saving your quarterback.
Okay, so again, I'll bring up the question that I brought up a few days ago. If it does save Adam Gase in the process, is it worth it?
I don't care about Adam Gase. I don't care about him. Dude, the primary
he's not the biggest problem with this team right now?
Dude, but listen, Adam Gase is going to be the one that everybody wants to fire for the next however many. I don't even care about him at this point. My primary concern at this point is when Sam Darnold takes the field on Sunday, he has a fucking receiver to throw the ball to. What you're doing is you're going to demoralize his confidence, and you're going to keep we have to staying put is not the answer. It's just not.
You're proving my point, though. If we're talking about
your point is,
if we're talking about Sam Darnold's confidence, the biggest thing hindering his confidence right now is the head coach.
It's twofold. Because right now you're giving Adam Gase excuses. Well, I have no receivers. Okay, we're going to give you receivers, asshole. We're going to give them to you and maximize your resources. So that's it. Joe Douglas has a job, dude. What is his job right now?
He's had 7 months to do that, though. That's what I'm saying. At this point, to make a panic move and
the
get
thing
to
is,
5-11 and save Adam Gase, is that worth it? I think it's a legitimate question.
No, what's worth it is you face adversity in the NFL, and right now the Jets are sitting back as losers and quitters and not doing nothing. Standing pat is not the answer. Like everybody, if we lose, we can get rid of Gase. No. You, as an organization, how you change your culture, you play to win every Sunday. You find ways to upgrade your roster every goddamn day. What did Joe Douglas say? He took the job. No stone unturned, CFL, XFL, this, that, and everything else. There's nothing happening. And now you're at rock bottom. And to say, okay, you know what? This is what we have. Tough shit. No. Find ways to upgrade every day. If that means you have to get rid of some assets, then do it. Because, dude, right now you're not a professional NFL team. Your offense is like 1985. And the quarterback, the most important person on your team, especially now when there's nothing else left on this goddamn team, you have to find ways to help him and salvage him and find ways to get going for the future. Like, status quo is not the answer right now. It's not. The Jets standing pat is not the answer. So we can talk about Gase next, but Joe Douglas has to do something, dude. He has to.
You know what Joe Douglas has to do? And I kind of touched on this last night. He has to put his foot down, whether it's with ownership, whether it's in the media, but he's not going to. And you know why? And I was thinking about this. What sense does it make for him with 6 years on his contract to fire Adam Gase right now or to do anything crazy? Because you know what? That starts the clock on his hire at head coach. So whether he fires Gase this week, next week, at the end of the year, at the end of year 3, no matter when it is, he's going to get the opportunity to hire his second coach.
Yeah, but it's called salvaging your team, creating accountability.
And then that's when the clock starts on him.
No, the whole thing is.
You don't think that has anything to do with it?
No.
You don't think that has anything to do with it?
If I'm a general manager, I'm not worried about 3 years from now. Like, if you're truly
He clearly is.
Here's the situation. Because I'm
traded your best. You traded your best player, and you're sitting on $30 million of cap space, and you took away your quarterback's best wide receiver. Right. So you are thinking into the future. You're not thinking about now.
Okay, you have 2 jobs. You manage your team for today, and you manage your team for tomorrow. Now, what you failed at managing it today already. Okay, dude, no, he's not. No, he's not. Well, if you run your own business, every day you go in and something unexpected happens. You adapt, you adjust. Your plan isn't always going to be the same. You can have the best blueprint in the world, but guess what? It never works out that way. So you adapt. Hey, you know what? You thought you had 22 starters? You have 8. So you don't wait for another 14 weeks to fix it. You fix it today. All right? You know what? This plan didn't work. So you don't say, you know what? Let me wait 12 more weeks. I'll deal with this in the offseason. That's what a loser does. And that's why his culture is shit. You want to have accountability and change your culture? Make fucking changes today. Like, I was reading tweets today. Oh, we really can't cut guys. That's the wrong message. That's the right message. Nobody's scared to lose their job here. Nobody's scared to lose playing time. Nobody gives a rat's ass right now. They're collecting checks from top to bottom. Nobody's scared. The owner doesn't scare nobody because what does he do? He doubled down last week. What does Joe Douglas do? He watches Adam Gase pull bullshit. Nothing happens there. The players on the field aren't making tackles, aren't trying. Let's be honest. They quit yesterday. Is there any repercussions? Anybody getting benched? No. No one is scared of nothing. And that's the problem. So you start doing something, dude. And this started last year. When the offensive line was shit and the goddamn coach kept his job, that tells you something. No accountability. When the owner keeps coming out and praising everybody, that what does that tell you? Nobody cares, dude. To them, it's a business. We're going to make money no matter what. Nobody cares. It's not about winning and losing. So if Joe Douglas wants to earn his paycheck, then say, you know what? Yeah. Let's change this shit, dude.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
It's a power move.
I'm not saying you're wrong about anything you're saying about the culture. The culture is absolute shit right now. I'm just saying at this point in the season, we know that we are a bottom 3 team in this league at best. So what move are we making at this point?
Find anything. Find tryouts, cut players, do something to shake things up. Like, and the thing is, and I have a lot to cover with you tonight because even Sam Darnold hinted at it towards today. He's like, you know what? Less talking, more actions. Yeah. Everybody's talking and nobody's doing shit, including the head coach. Yep. Head coach is a fraud. But we'll go back to the injuries. So Perriman out now. Your wide receiver group's a mess. If you're going to tell me we're going to do what? Crowder's still out. So you have what? You have Berrios, Hogan. What are we doing? Josh Malone?
Yeah. Call up Lawrence Cager.
And that's cool. So what are we going to do? We're going to dress 4 receivers again next week and be like, oh, hopefully nobody gets hurt and put them all in bubble wrap. That's the plan for this organization? So
again, you had 7 months knowing that this was one of
Dude, I understand. We questioned it till now, but now it's like, listen, I don't give a fuck about the last 7 months. I care about today. What's today? September 21st? Here is your mess, Joe Douglas. What are you doing today to fix it? What are you doing tomorrow to fix it? Because you've already fucked up the last 3 months. We've already seen it. So that your roster, your low risk, high reward moves aren't panning out. You know, Perriman came here unproven. You know, a journeyman guy that hit with an injury history. Guess what? Not producing, and now he's injured. Wonderful. Pierre Desir, a bona fide waste of time. Not going to work out. Now, here's your next move. Connor McGovern, a move that we both liked, is now banged up. Now, in theory, Jonathan Harrison would have been a great backup right now because guess what? He's already played with Sam. He already knows the offense. They already have a chemistry. They're actually good friends. Is he the backup center? No, he's not. How's that working out for us now?
And it's amazing too, because Douglas even said, like, at the time when they cut Harrison, that was one of the toughest cuts he had to make. I don't understand what went behind it. Darnold acknowledged that he was like a big brother to him. So again, a guy that actually knew the offense, he bring back some chemistry from from last year. I truly don't understand that. You're depending on Josh Andrews now, and he's bookended by two guards that have struggled a little bit to this point.
Van Roten struggled. He
Yeah.
struggled. He hasn't been good, man. And now it's like, all right, so at what point now there's a lot of positives too, but I mean, what point do you say is a guy just getting caught up to speed, getting in football shape, trying to get used to the line and everything else, or is a guy just not playing well? Because Van Roten's had a rough couple of weeks. He has. I mean, Fance did all right. Van Roten, not so much. McGovern, Alex Lewis, a little bit shaky here and there. And Becton's been phenomenal as a rookie. He's been like, he's emerging as like a passionate leader of the team, which is crazy. A fiery, emotional leader on offense because everybody gravitates to him, which is just pretty wild at this point, but that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, Becton to this point has been everything that we hoped he'd be. He's showing that energy on the field, knocking dudes on their ass. Like, that's what you want to see. And surprisingly, again, Fant, we've barely heard his name, which is kind of what you want. So, I think we both kind of got that one wrong. We saw that as like, an $8.5 million flyer on somebody that probably wouldn't be here. And now he might be your right tackle for the next 2-3 years. So that's definitely a positive. And I think the interior is much easier to find, through free agency or, mid rounds in the draft. But yeah, for this year right now, Van Roten did not look good at all. And I don't really know what else you have. Maybe Cameron Clark, when he comes back, he slides in there, but you don't really have a lot.
So the injury report gets worse, but then the thing is, and I mean, I'm going to go on a rant again, dude, because I've had it with some of these supposed analysts, like New York sports radio. You could tell half of them don't watch the games.
Mess, dude.
But dude, half of them don't half the ones that are even Jet fans. You can tell they don't watch the games. They don't pay attention. They don't know what they're talking about, dude. And what I hate the most is when they try to speak for the fans. Well, this is what the fans want. Dude, you don't know what the fuck we want. Like, stop pretending. Don't talk for us. Like, seriously, you're embarrassing yourselves.
That's why our ratings are better than SNY's post game right now. Yeah.
But so you have the injury report now, which is a real problem. I mean, now it's like your wide receivers are decimated. The center could be out. The defensive side of the ball is a mess. But you look at it now, and Gase's biggest allies are starting to turn on him now, where they're saying, you know what? This team has not been competitive for 2 weeks. And I was watching it closely today because I know who they all are. You know who they are. I know who they all are. There are certain people that are used by the Jets to kind of push their narrative and push their story. They're all turning because now they know it. Like, you can't hide from the stench. This thing is a dumpster fire, and they have to start calling him out on it. But now the problem is that everybody's breaking out new excuses and justifying this. And everybody in the NFL is having the same problem, man. The 49ers, like, the Jets are trying to cry like all this sadness. The 49ers, they got in like super, super late Saturday morning. They're decimated by all kinds of injuries at every position. And it came down to what? Preparation and coaching. Simple as that. That's what it comes down to. And the Jets aren't getting either.
And that's what we knew it was going to come down to. And you look further around the league, Justin Herbert, he threw for over 300 yards. The New England Patriots, they had a league-leading 8 players opt out. They're installing a new quarterback for the first time in 2 decades. They put up 30 points last night in Seattle. That was a competitive game. That was a fun game to watch. Jamal Adams all over the field making plays. But again, this is where we're at right now.
Every team is overcoming adversity and not saying, woe is me, I feel bad, and justifying all their losses. They're finding ways to win because that's what winning organizations do. That's what happens when players believe in your head coach, they believe in your program, and there's leadership all throughout. Now, the new narrative today, which I've heard, which is fascinating, is that Sam Darnold is not a leader. Nobody will follow Sam Darnold. He's not feisty enough. He's too blah in the press conference. Now we're going to get to the point now where we're criticizing Sam the way he talks in a press conference because we have nothing else to do. And the thing is, he is a product of his coach. What his coach says, he's like his spokesperson. He just regurgitates what it is. And like, he's like, at this point in his career, he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to backtalk Adam Gase. Like, you know what? I don't believe in this. I don't believe in that. So the story comes out, and I give credit to Brian Costello. They asked him, why didn't you audible on 4th and 1? They asked Adam Gase, why didn't Sam do that? He doesn't have the power to do that.
How do you not allow your quarterback to make an audible at the line of scrimmage, especially on 4th and 1?
Only certain situations, only certain plays. Like, what? Like, so now it's like, what is like, if this, do this, if this, do this. The kid's got, so he can actually see, he can see the defense. But like, you know what? I should audible, and he's not going to do it because he's not allowed to.
And you wonder why his confidence sounds so shot. I said this last week. When he was on the Michael Kay show, it was a different kind of Sam Darnold as far as the tone. We talked about the body language in week 1 was completely different. Like, all these things that you're saying, it's a byproduct of being in an Adam Gase system. And he knows that he does not have a chance. He knows that now. He's seeing it.
But did you see the other? Now this answer right here. This is why I'm so pissed. I've been pissed off all day. I can't. The Jets are breaking me, dude. I'm being honest with you.
I'm numb.
No, I'm not numb, dude. So if you guys are watching, we appreciate it. I'm going to unload again. So they asked Gase, why didn't they take shots downfield?
Injuries.
And he said he was going to do it later in the game. He was setting things up. But then when Perryman went out, he couldn't do it. How about this? How about you scheme guys open? So wait, one player, only one receiver on this team is allowing you to go downfield with the passes. Once he's out, no more downfield passes, no more bombs, no more this week. That's it. We're done. Check it out. Is this guy for real, dude?
But even better. Even better, he had to wait till the second half to do it. He didn't want to come out and do it right away. Try and take a lead. He wanted to wait until we were down 3 scores, and then he could take his chances. What sense does that make?
But dude, does Chris Johnson sit in his office and watch his press conference and be like, is this guy for real? Like, we're not calling passing plays because one receiver is out. We're going to do it later in the game. Like, dude, just like with Joe Douglas, when you go into a game, you have a game plan. You know what? We want to establish this. We want to establish that. Guess what? Shit's going to happen, man. And when shit happens, you adjust as soon as possible. You don't say, you know what? While he's got his head buried in his play card, nope, this passing play, that's fourth quarter play. I can't call that now. We're not allowed to. This is amateur hour shit, dude. Is this guy for real with this?
As little as Chris Johnson knows about football, even he has to listen to Adam Gase saying yesterday, on 4th and 7, I don't have the right play call in my playbook.
There's not a lot of plays you can call on 4th and 7.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be a guru.
4th and 7. 7 yards. You don't have a play in your playbook to get that first down against the Niners defense that was decimated by injuries. That should tell you all you need to know.
I just that
was the quote that did it for me. I don't care about anything he said today, doubling down on him saying that should be it.
Yeah. And the other thing too is just like the other point, and I watched our Twitter account today at Talk Jets Radio. I should probably change our banner for a second because we don't even do that anymore. We get so caught up in all this shit. The other thing is because now people are trying to save jobs. You can't do this, you can't do that. They're like, you can't fire Adam Gase now. Why? Tell me why. Because they're like, oh, what will it help? It'll help a lot. First of all, it's a sign of accountability. What's going on here, which clearly the players are quitting on you. The players are mailing it in. They are not playing for you. They're not listening to you. And the product on the field is not NFL level. You watched Justin Herbert last night. These guys, there's rookie quarterbacks coming in, throwing the ball all over the place. Burrow. There's backup quarterbacks coming in playing well. Third-string receivers, third-string running backs. All across the NFL, guys are making plays. You watch the Jets, they're stuck in mud. They're not even they're just you know what? Too many injuries, man. Sorry. Maybe next year. Maybe next week we'll try. Dude, so when you come in as the owner, say, you know what, man? I fucked up. I'm my bad, but I can't take any more of this. This is not acceptable for my organization. You fire him. That puts everybody on notice. All right, maybe this guy's for real now.
But you know what?
And then you put the offense doesn't have to change a lot, but it's a new voice, and maybe just shaking things up and say, you know what? Maybe we're going to change some things around here and find a way to make things better. No, how does keeping him help? To be honest with you, because all you're doing is embarrassing. You're embarrassing yourself, and nothing is going to change. You're going to see the same shit week in, week out, with more and more excuses and more scapegoats. And now you're seeing Sam regurgitate some of this shit, like Sam Darnold saying it, and he doesn't believe in it. Come on.
I completely agree, but I still think, like I said earlier, that it has to come from Joe Douglas. He has to be the one to get in Chris Johnson's ear and make this happen. He has to be the one to go to the media and say this is not acceptable because nobody else is doing it, and he's supposed to be the football guy. And that's why, unless he does something, I'm going to call it like it is. He's spineless right now because he's taking his time and he's going to milk this for all it's worth. He's going to try and get as many draft classes as he can through the Adam Gase regime before he has to fire him and install his own coach, because that's just going to buy him more time. He's here for 6 years. Like I said, if he fires him now at the end of the year or at the end of year 3, he's going to get to hire a second coach no matter what. And that's when his clock starts. So why would he start it now?
Because right now you're starting it now to just save your organization and set the tone. Be like, listen, because now everybody thinks the same thing. Him and Gase are buddies. He has no power, this and that. He's got to say, you know what? I'm watching my organization melt. We're becoming the laughing stock of the NFL. This is coat-tight level stuff because I've been through it. I sat. You did too. I sat through it. I know what this looks like. And people it's not just the fans, dude. Damian Woody. Antonio Cromartie. All these guys are just piling out. Dan Orlovsky. This is a mess. These are how does Chris Johnson not understand this? And it's the whole thing is, oh, you can't fire him now. Yes, you can. It's been done before. You've got to figure out a way to save your organization and save your quarterback and go in a different direction. And the whole thing is, well, there's nobody to take the place of Gase. Yes, there is. There are ex-NFL head coaches on your staff that can take care of it. There's ways to adjust, adapt. Like it's a whole thing, dude. You got to just.
Greg Williams being the head coach of Cleveland for 8 games didn't destroy Baker Mayfield. So
nope, he played better.
Exactly. So the idea that he can't take over, that, like you said, Jim Bob Cooter or somebody on the offensive side can't take over, just for a new voice in Sam's head. Get this kid refreshed, some confidence. It cannot hurt. Locker room, dude. It cannot hurt.
And the thing is, like a guy like Jordan Jenkins, I love Jordan Jenkins. He's one of my favorite players. He could tell after the game, he's like, I am tired of this shit. And it's only a matter of time. I guarantee you, it's only a matter of time for the stories to start coming out. Players are late for meetings. Players aren't working out. It's coming, dude, because there's hints of it. Sam hinted towards it. Jordan Jenkins started hinting towards it. There are problems in the locker room, which we suspected last year, that are probably going on this year, especially with 2 bad losses and everybody just bashing them endlessly. You start giving in, dude. You're like, you know what? If I take a play off, like the whole Ogletree thing. Did you hear the explanation of the Ogletree thing?
I missed that one, actually.
So clearly, Greg Williams doesn't like Williamson. There's a problem with Williamson. So they asked Adam Gase, why did Williamson start? Well, we want to get him back in the mix. And dude, Ogletree is lost. He's on a team a week.
Yeah.
And that's what she touched him. That was the first play of the game.
I was going to say, if Williamson was good enough to dress up and suit, then why wouldn't he be out there as your starter? Yeah.
So, I mean, there are so many things here that are wrong, but now people are starting to question Sam Darnold's integrity and leadership and all this stuff.
Yeah, I heard Boomer this morning saying that he's not the alpha male that Peyton Manning is. How is he supposed to be that with what we have surrounded him with? I mean, at 23 years old, we're expecting him to just take things over right now when he has no chance.
It appears that he's kind of limited too, with even what Adam Gase lets him do and not do. It's just like, come on, man. So this is as bad as it gets. This is, I mean, the expectation now going forward, like you want to see changes somehow, shake something up. Other organizations won't tolerate this, but the Jets, for a reason, they embrace it. This is what they do, and I have no idea why. So unacceptable, and now more injuries, and now you're looking at an offense where Chris Herndon is the guy that we hope for so many big things for. He hasn't done anything. Bad drop, bad fumble. Ryan Griffin, invisible. Wesco does nothing. Your running backs, Frank Gore showed some. Frank Gore did okay.
Got the 20 carries we expected.
But Perrine, he showed a little burst. But then that's it. Now it's going to come down to if you have to find ways to scheme and game plan and actually coach. Like Gase can't just say, you know what, this is our game plan, this is it. He has to really just show what he's worth here, dude. And he's showing it, and he's not worth anything. He's in over his head, and he cannot lead a team.
No doubt. And I'm not going to excuse Herndon at all. He played terrible last week, wasn't much better week 1. But, we've seen a few comments from, Dolphin fans on this page saying, Mike Gesicki was kind of the same way until Adam Gase left, who doesn't really embrace the tight end all that much. And then all of a sudden his career took off, just like Devontae Parker and Tannehill, Kenyon Drake, and everybody else that seems to leave Adam Gase and goes on to flourish to better things. So just sad.
We'll go to a bunch of comments. Again, we thank everybody for tuning in. I'm sorry for all the rants, guys. Like, I know it's just, I can't take anymore. Like, it's like, as fans, we want to enjoy football. Like I look forward to football Sundays, man. Like, I get all fired up. I'm into it. And then 5 minutes into yesterday's game, I'm like, holy shit. Like, I've seen this before. And then you're embarrassed. And then you can't wait for the game to be over so you can watch other games. Like, I want to watch the rest of the NFL to see what football is really like. It's so painful, man. First comment, Gase is terrible, but I would love to see Sam get on some guys, fire up Herndon to make some plays, be a leader, and demand more from the guys. The energy is so flat with this team.
To me, that is a reflection of the head coach. When your team is flat, that's also a reflection of how you're practicing. And, I think it was Bradley McDougald who mentioned, the team hasn't had a good week of practice yet. So what is that saying? You're not practicing well. So the players know coming into a game, they probably don't have a chance against a better team that is coached 10 times better than we are.
Yep. Decimated by injuries.
Yep.
Well, we don't have a play for 4th and 7. I've never heard someone say that in my life. Never. Embarrassing. Dude, like
that comment, he should have been fired on the spot. To have the audacity to say that you don't have a play to get a 4th and 7 while the Niners converted a 2nd and 16 and a 3rd and 31. You don't have a play for 4th and 7.
Like if your coach doesn't have answers, how do you expect the players to have answers? Like if your coach gives you an answer like that, like could you imagine like the mindset? It's a loser quitting mindset. All this team is excuses. That's it. They have built-in excuses for everything. They can justify any kind of loss because that's what they do. This is just
and he's making up new ones as he goes too.
Oh, it's so bad, man. Let's see. Next one. The Jets had the opportunity to to add at least 3 wide receivers through the 2020 draft. Instead, we drafted a quarterback and a running back. Dude, I mean, you can't argue it, dude. We did a live draft show, and we all expected so much more from the wide receiver position, and everybody started selling us on Morgan and this and that. I'm like, dude, the deepest wide receiver class that they had in recent memory, and we were desperate for wide receivers, and we didn't get any more, just one.
And this is twofold also, because the Ashton Davis pick at the time, again, we had Jamal Adams, didn't make sense. You could kind of justify it now, but still, you got worse at that position. Zuninga, we still haven't seen. But if those were guys that you really wanted to get, and you felt like, you know what, these are potential, cornerstone players that we could build around, fine. Then trade future picks to still get your second or third wideout to help Sam now. Giving him these wideouts entering this year, it was criminal.
Yep. No, it's true. Kotite's teams just suck. Gase doesn't know how to coach. That's actually not true, Jonah. That's not true at all. Kotite's teams suck, but they had a lot of talent. They were out of shape. They had no discipline. They had no coaching. Once he left, they shake things up. They started winning football games. And that's what could happen here, too. This is a culture now. This is a problem with the head coach is not a leader. He's not a game planner. He's nothing. This is a bona fide mess here.
I was going to say, almost that entire defense that was on the Parcells team was pretty much with Kotite, just a younger version of it that was undisciplined.
Dude, they would blow games
and things like that, right?
Yep, that's all it was. They were out of shape. They had no discipline, bad penalties, all this stuff. He got them all in shape, tightened things up, smarter plays, and that was it. I mean, let's see what we got here. Fans literally have to boycott. Don't buy any merchandise. Don't attend games when we can. I mean, that's not going to matter. I mean, at this point, it's not about boycotting. It's about being vocal and just not accepting this. Because the Jets, one thing about the Jets, they hate when everybody hates them. Like, they don't like negative press. They don't like negative media. They don't like any of this, and they react to it. That's why Chris Johnson spoke last week, because of all the backlash. And now it's going to be constant pressure, because now we're the laughingstock. We're the butt of all jokes. We're talking about the draft in week 3. I mean, this is it. This is what you have to do.
Yeah, and the problem with boycotting games is that you're still going to have half the stadium filled with road fans, and a majority of the revenue is generated through TV anyway. So fans are still going to watch, I think, regardless. So, I mean, you could definitely, kind of not buy merchandise and do certain things like that. But other than that, I mean, they're going to make their money and they're going to treat it like a business, because that's what they do.
We definitely the worst prime time, no question. I mean, there's not much of an argument here. I think everybody pretty much agrees the Jets are the worst team of football. They haven't been competitive for 2 weeks.
Lions are close, but not close enough. I mean, we haven't been competitive. And
This is a hot take. I've seen enough of Darnold. He doesn't seem as a leader.
How have we seen enough at this point is my question. What more are we expecting him to do with what is around him? And like we just said, the attitude that rubs off from Gase's press conferences and things like that, I mean, expecting him to overcome all this. I'm not saying, again, there shouldn't be some criticism here and there. You criticized him very fairly for week 1. Some of those plays that he made, were inexcusable. And he came back and he showed that he could bounce back when he's facing adversity. Yep. And he had a solid week 2, was graded 6th according to PFF. I mean, what more do you want from this kid?
I mean, you're not putting him in a position to succeed. That's the problem. Like, if you're playing well and you're in rhythm, you can get all fired up, you can do things. When you're just, I mean, they're not, the play calling holds him back, the things around him hold him back, and the head coach holds him back. And like, I think it's just, the entire environment is a joke, man. It's just, and I'm not, and before we get to start messages, we're not Sam Darnold apologists, because that's the whole thing now. It's like, if you defend Sam, now you're like, oh, you're an apologist. No, look at the big picture. Look at what the player he is and what they've done the last 3 years with him, man. It's just, you're right. It's criminal. It really is. So the team needs to stay in the locker room and not come out until Gase is gone. I mean, that's
fantastic comment.
You go, Gase is confusing Sam Darnold. I mean, I'm not sure if he's confusing him or just extremely limiting him. If you're going to take away his downfield passing game because that's not in your game plan, I mean, dude, how does that even, like, we make fun of all these passes at the line of scrimmage or 1 yard behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, defenses, they know what's coming now. Like, the game plan on our offense is out now.
Yeah, I think it's gotten to the point where, Sam is kind of just operating like a robot, it seems. Like, he's just going through the motions, executing the play, not going to deviate away from what Gase wants to see, doesn't have the ability to change out of certain things, and the biggest asset of his game, I think, is what he could do on the run, what he could do up tempo. And those are areas that Gase isn't allowing him to be great in. He just runs this slow offense, methodical, get up to the line of scrimmage with 15 seconds left. There's no urgency at all.
No adjustments.
Sam Darnold is at his best when he's not thinking so much and just able to react and make some plays. And, he doesn't have enough opportunities to do that, I don't think.
Yeah, especially with the defense knows you're going to be throwing passes only 20 yards deeper within. Like, it's going to be all a short passing game. Then, I mean, that's, I'm so
not even 20 yards. How many throws went beyond 20 yards on Sunday?
Not many. We can look at it. It's not many.
Yeah.
So how is this dude still the head coach? I don't know, man. I really have no idea. I don't know. I'm tired of hearing excuses for this team. I'm tired of hearing justifying him staying here. How do you keep a coach that the team is quitting on in week 2? Like this, it's not like it's week 9, week 10, where it's like, all right, the weather's getting cold. Things are going. Like, this is it. Like, that whole they ended the season 6-2 shit last year, well out the window. Obviously, that means nothing. There's no leadership here, man. That starts at the top. It does. There's nothing else I don't know.
It's only week 2. You're going to keep hearing, preach patience and all that stuff, and I think it's ridiculous.
You cannot blame the quarterback when you look at this franchise and how it's been run for years. I agree. That's it. I mean, the Jets are writing the book of how to destroy a quarterback. They're writing a new book, volume 3. This is it. This is the perfect blueprint. And the funny thing is, Primetime, we've talked about this in the past. Once you get your quarterback, you rebuild the offensive line, you put playmakers around them, young guys that you can grow up with. Like, you have a guy say Sam and Robbie, all these guys, a young receiver, a young running back, a young quarterback, you all grow together, give them a center and blossom. They've done everything wrong from the start.
And that's why the whole idea of taking Trevor Lawrence, it baffles me, because what are we going to do for him? If we're just giving him Adam Gase or, a new coach, but we're not surrounding him with weapons like we haven't with Sam, it's going to be the same outcome. We'll destroy that kid the same way people think we destroyed Sam already. So why not take this 23-year-old kid who has proven that he can do it when things are right around him, even when things aren't right around him, he's starting to make some plays. Give this kid a real chance. Give him, some first-round picks, some wide receivers at the top of the draft. Give him a legitimate number 1 wideout.
Next comment. It sounds like you want them to make a move for the sake of making a move. No, you're making a move to make a statement. You fire your coach, you're making a blatant statement. This is unacceptable. We're going in a new direction. If you start cutting players that aren't playing well, that sets a tone in your locker room. Like, you know what? What you're doing now is not cool. Late for meetings, late for practice, not playing well in the field, half-assing it. You're out of here. That's how you establish culture. And you mean to tell me there's nobody out there that we can pick up as a receiver? There's nobody. I mean, do we have to go through Roto-World and study the names that are out there that's better than Josh Malone and Lawrence Cager? Like, seriously. Like, teams are finding players every day.
Cutting guys is one thing. All right, and I agree with that. If there's a lack of effort, cut them. No big deal. As far as the wide receivers go, I mean, I'm okay picking up, whoever's out there as far as free agency goes. I think you have to at this point. You can't just go to war with what you have. But again, as far as making a move like trading draft assets, at this point,
Allen Robinson?
I would like him, but I don't know if Joe Douglas would make that move, giving up a draft pick in a season where I feel like this is a lost year. And again, I'll go back to the same point. If it does save Adam Gase's job because they can view it as minimal progress, getting 5-11 or 6-10, is that really worth it?
Dude, if you get Allen Robinson in the fold, that is your receiver, not only for this year when Sam can work with him, he's also here for 3 more years. That's a piece to your puzzle. That's called helping today and helping tomorrow. And if they win 5 games, at some point, you're still going to realize that Adam Gase is still a bad coach. If they win 2 games or 5 games is still unacceptable. Like, it's not. I mean, it's.
I would hope so, but I still worry that ownership or Joe Douglas, because him and Gase are buddies, would view that as being enough progress. Oh, we got him the wide receiver. Look how the offense took off. The same way last year. Oh, they went 6-2. Didn't matter who they beat. Didn't matter that Josh Allen didn't start the last game. That we faced Duck Hodges against the Steelers. Those games didn't matter. It mattered that we went 6-2 and they had a reason to justify it. And so that's what I worry about. Obviously, we need a wide receiver. If you can get Allen Robinson for the sake of, keeping Sam, not ruining him, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be a priority at this point. This is a great comment. Is it me, or if Adam Gase wants you to fail, he sets you up to fail? LeBron, Bell. If Adam doesn't want you here, he set you up. 1 draft pick, goodbye, Sam. It's interesting how Adam Gase, he's an arrogant prick sometimes, man. He's a stubborn play caller, and he'd be like, you know what? You want Bell to play? I'll play Bell, but I'm going to call plays I know doesn't work for him, and we're going to watch him struggle. Then meanwhile, he brings in Gore, and it's like right up the middle. Like, it's just he doesn't change his offense for the player. You said it yesterday, square peg, round hole. I'm just going to put him in here because we have him. I don't give a shit how it happens to prove that it doesn't work until I get my guy in there. He's like that, man. There's no doubt he's like that.
Was there any question that Frank Gore was going to get 20 carries yesterday?
Oh, he almost had in the first half.
I don't. It's so blatant what he tries to do, and he doesn't even hide it at this point. It's all ego driven, and it's nauseating, dude.
We'll go to the next one. Jets need to start benching. I agree. Give hungry guys a shot. That's how they found Robbie Anderson until they let him walk. But that's the dude. Skull Joker is exactly what I'm talking about. Dude, you know what? Bring up Lawrence Cager. Bring up all these young, hungry guys, but don't bring them up and sit them on the bench. Like, bring them up and actually play them. Like, get them on the field and see what you have. Because guess what? Then you can see what your practice squad's made of. Do you have a bunch of bums out there? Or is Joe Douglas doing his job? Or is there actually talent on this roster somewhere? And if you're gonna go 3-13, at least find like little diamonds in the rough here.
Yeah, and that's what's so frustrating about all these draft picks being hurt is that there are legitimate opportunities right now for a lot of guys to be out there playing, gaining experience, finding out, hey, was this a diamond in the rough that we found or not? Yet we're probably going to end the season, unless these guys get out there relatively soon, you're going to end the season with a limited sample on a lot of these guys, not really kind of knowing what you have.
Damn, I mean, in all these injuries, man, with Cameron Clark, Bryce Hall, all these guys not playing, it's Zuniga, he's not playing. I mean, it's just.
Yep, Mims still.
Next comment. We're in trouble. I mean, it's not a pretty picture right now. And there's a gazillion more questions than answers. And somebody's got to start answering questions. Joe Douglas and Adam Gase. They got to I keep saying it's excuses, man. Like they're justifying all these problems. Instead of talking about it, fix them. And there's you fix it this week. Make changes.
And that's why Joe Douglas is still, I think, the one hope, because we know Gase, what he is. He's going to make the excuses. We know Chris Johnson already backed him, brilliant offensive mind 5 days ago. He's not going to go back on that. Joe Douglas is the one guy who has enough of a resume and enough football background to say, you know what, this shit can't go on.
Yep. And that's the next comment. Joe Douglas is to blame for not addressing the wide receiver position in the offseason. Fact. And then once training camp started and the injuries started piling up, or you started realizing that, you know what, maybe this isn't going to work out, you find other players. Like the 49ers, when they had injuries, dude, they were signing receivers almost every day. There was like another guy, like they're just like, we're going to keep doing this. And they're like, the Jets are like, our practice squad's good, man. We're good. We're completely fine. No changes needed. That's just arrogant, man.
We were asking for Sanu like 2 weeks ago.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. Face it, there's no change in the franchise until the coach is gone. All this talk means nothing until he's gone. Probably right, man. I mean, unless Gase starts laying down a law in the locker room, but I don't think he'll even do that.
And that's my worry about making a trade. Not that, it's not needed, not that we don't want to give Sam, Allen Robinson, if the potential is there. I think you have to do it if you can, but that is in the back of my mind what absolutely worries me, that Adam Gase is the biggest thing holding back Sam Darnold right now. And if you give any reason to keep him for another year, then you really, truly do risk losing Sam.
Yeah, I mean, that's Quinn finally stepping up. No doubt. Quinn Williams, 2 sacks. It's great. Now you string together a group of games. Now let them do it for 5 or 6 games in a row.
No, definitely great to see that. But can we also bring up the post game? I mean, he was trolling Adam Gase, right? He was trolling Adam Gase, right?
Why would he do that, man? Why would he do that?
You don't think that was like a shot at Adam Gase, or am I just misreading it?
I don't know what that was. It was embarrassing. I didn't find it funny. I didn't find it cool. I thought it was just like he's not in a position to do that, man. Like he's not Marshawn Lynch.
What did he do though? He took the approach of his head coach. We got to look at the film. That's what Adam Gase says all the time, right?
Yeah, but what is he like? I get it, but why would he even do that? Like, you had a good game. Just say your thing, get out of it. Don't be like, I mean, that's just
because to me that also potentially speaks of what's going on in that locker room, what's being said in that locker room, and maybe Quinn Williams is actually a leader who's going to say, you know what, I'll speak up for you guys. I'll say what needs to be said subliminally, but I'll say it. Just a thought.
Yeah, never know. I mean, I looked at him like, come on, man. Like, this is the last thing we need.
At first, it went over my head. Then I'm like, you know what? That's what Adam Gase says all the time. We got to look at the film. We got to look at the film. And for him to just say that repeatedly, every question, I'm like, you know what? That's a shot at Adam Gase.
Is every Sunday going to be like weeks 1 and 2? If so, is it even worth watching anymore? Andrew, let's be honest, man. We're Jets fans. We're going to watch this shit week in and week out, and we're going to complain about it. It's like torture. Like, we're obligated to do it. We're always going to watch. And then the people that say, I'm never going to support this team ever again, blah, 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 they'll be back next week watching it. It's just what we do. We're fans. This is just, it's part of the pain process right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're this far in, so the idea of just giving up at this point, it's not going to happen. I'll be watching every week, but yeah, I can understand some people that say they're not going to because of the frustration, but at the end of the day, you're probably going to be back anyway and enjoying the misery.
This is a great comment right here from Venom. What happened to all these leaders Douglas talked about? Good question, because they weren't there on Sunday. When you come out that flat and that unprepared and you're lifeless and give minimum effort, not a good sign, man.
You know where a lot of your leaders are? They're winning with other teams.
Yeah, I mean, or they just or your prominent leaders just aren't buying in. Like, you know what, this isn't going to work. Like, this is
combination of both. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they may just be like, you know what? I understand what their program is, and they're not buying in. They don't believe in it.
Could that be why C.J. Mosley opted out?
I don't know, man. Like that kind of stuff, I don't get. I mean, that's who knows.
I mean, it's easy to say, I want to take care of my family and stuff like that. I'm not saying I don't believe him on that, but at the same time, part of taking care of your family and staying healthy is not risking yourself to injury playing football for a coach that you don't believe in or for a team that you don't believe in. And so I think there could be some aspect of truth to that. I think he opted out about 2 weeks after the Adams trade. So if he sensed the rebuild was coming,
Yeah, I don't know, man. I have no opinion on that. That's when it comes to family and shit like that, and you have the ability to take care of your family and do that. I have no idea. Joe Douglas is to blame for not signing and drafting playmakers. He is suspect. Joe Douglas has a lot to prove, man, because his whole motto is built through the draft. Well, right now your draft class is mostly hurt. So, and your free agent class where you kind of did like, you didn't really go out and spend any big money. You brought in like, toe the line guys. They aren't really panning out for the most part. I mean, this year we've talked about Van Roten struggled. Perryman's now hurt. He wasn't doing anything before that. So a lot of swing and misses, man.
The only glimmer of, giving him an out here, I guess, would be if the reports from Manish were true that he was, financially limited as far as the guys he can go after. And that's part of why he's sitting on the $30 million in cap space. If he really couldn't go after the guys he wanted, if he really couldn't be aggressive this offseason and trying to surround Sam with talent, then maybe you give him a slight pass for that. But even still, you had the draft, you had all those picks. You should have known what you needed.
Yep. All right, here we go. What New York sports analysts are you upset with? Just curious. Sports radio in New York, WFAN, a good portion of them have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to the Jets. And I listen to them. Like, I like Boomer and Gio. I like all those guys. Even Joe and Evan. Joe and Evan are supposed to be the big Jet fans. Joe Benigno embarrasses himself. Yeah. Like, his little argument with Boomer was embarrassing. His takes today were embarrassing. Like, he doesn't even watch the game. Like, he watches the highlights. It's like, what are you talking about here?
Bro, woe is me. That's his thing.
And then like Boomer has been a big Jets Gase supporter all this time. He kind of backed off it a little bit today, where it's like, listen, they're not competitive, this and that. But then he started attacking Sam. Like, it's just like, what?
Even when he was questioning Adam Gase, it wasn't anything real. I mean, he was still saying, oh, you got to give him patience. Yeah. It's week 2. He was talking about what he did with Peyton Manning and Darnold not being the alpha male. I'm like, come on, like, are you fooling anybody with this?
Yeah, and then I listened to like Moose and Maggie a little bit, and the Michael Case and all, and they come up with some takes. You're just like, you could tell they're just like, it's very easy right now to say fire the coach, this and that. They don't really give any backup. Like, they don't get into it too much. They're not paying attention to the team. They don't really care, and it's just some of these takes are just horrendous, man. I don't know. I'm up for giving Joe Douglas a chance. We've all seen players get better once Case is gone. No, listen, Joe Douglas is going to be here 4 more years, but he's got a lot to prove. Like, he's been heralded as like, oh, he's our guy, he's our savior, all that. Well, the shit's hitting the fan now, man. Like, we are at ground zero of all our problems, and now what are we gonna do? How does he get us out of it? Does he sit pat the rest of this year, like Kevin's been saying the whole time? Does he actually force the issue and say, you know what, this coach has to go? Like, this is, a general manager of a team that's you're looking over things. Is this rock bottom? Like, we have to make a change here? Like, he's got to kind of flex his muscles a little bit. And listen, we gave him credit for the Leonard Williams trade. We gave him credit for the Jamal Adams trade, even though it should have happened before the draft. We've given him credit for certain things. But, I mean, the Becton pick's been solid. The punter, I mean, but
again, no, I'm not trying to bury Joe Douglas after a year or two. I'm going to give him the same leash I gave Mike McCagnon and previous other general managers, because I think, when a GM takes over a team that is bare of talent like we are, you got to give him some time to do that. But at the same time, it's hard to argue that this team right now is going backwards, that this team talent-wise this year is worse off than it was last year. And when you have a quarterback on his rookie contract, that's the wrong direction to be going.
Next one. I'm so tired of this Lawrence talk. What makes these fans think he's going to save everything? Lawrence will be in the same position. Right now, it's very to me, it's blatantly obvious that Adam Gase is holding back Sam Darnold. He's holding back this offense. He's holding back your quarterback. You're not assessing anything on him here. You're not. He is the primary problem with this team, other than ownership. Ownership is the first problem. Chris Johnson is the problem. Then Adam Gase is the second problem. But, I mean, that's a fair point. I mean, get it, prime time. I'm just in a bad mood. This team makes me so angry all the time.
I'm sharing a brain with Vincent on the Trevor Lawrence talk. I want nothing to do with him, not because I don't think he's going to be a good quarterback, but because I still believe Sam Darnold could be a good quarterback. And if we're talking about the best way to set your offense up for success, which way is it? Taking Trevor Lawrence and pretty much leaving him with a similar plethora of weapons that we don't have right now? Or do you go out and trade that pick have 5, 6 first rounders over the next 2 years and really dedicate yourself to finding pieces on offense and giving Sam a legitimate chance. Because at 23 years old, to be given up on him at this point with what we've done around him, it's insane to me.
Douglas is on the same level as Gase. Both report to the owner. That's the problem. That is the legitimate problem right here. The hierarchy of this team makes no sense to me.
That shouldn't matter, though. Why should that matter?
No, but because if he was above Gase, if he went from Gase to Douglas to Chris Johnson, Douglas could say, you know what, this guy's got to go. Right now, he's got to go to Chris Johnson and ask, hey man, how do we,
So if he goes to Chris Johnson and asks politely and nothing happens, you go to the media and you start saying shit. You don't allow this to happen. You don't allow your culture to tank. If you're all about culture and the head coach is ruining that culture, you don't allow yourself to go down with him. You change it. He has a voice. He needs to speak up at this point because he's aligned himself too much with Adam Gase. And if this continues much longer, it's going to be a problem. And like I said earlier, I don't see him doing anything now. And that's the problem. He's spineless if he doesn't do anything because he's going to let this linger as long as possible until he has to install his own head coach.
Yep. JD and Gase are friends, but this is a business. And at a certain point, that won't save Gase. But how? At what point? Like, what more do you need to see? 2 terrible losses where you weren't competitive. You need 3, you need 4, you need 5. After what we already saw last year with all these red flags last year, but we had to have continuity, and it's continuous. The same shit we saw last year, the same shit we're seeing this year. I mean, what does it take? Like, what is it going to? What more needs to be done?
I don't know what more you can possibly see to already know that Gase is not the answer. And if you had any doubts, like I said, the 4th and 7 comment after the game, that tells you all you need to know. If your head coach, the brilliant offensive mind, doesn't have a play in his playbook that he feels confident in to get a first down on 4th and 7 when your team is down 3 scores, that tells you everything you need to know.
Yep. So if you guys are watching this on Facebook, please go on YouTube, Let's Talk Jets Radio. We don't do any marketing, man. We do no marketing. We don't do anything. We just talk football. Like, we're terrible with this.
We'll start marketing once I order my new light. I'm still in darkness over here.
Yes. We don't promote anything. We don't promote nothing. So how can Adam Gase say that because Perriman went out, we didn't run deep shots? Josh Malone knows how to run a streak. Exactly. That comment drove me insane. Like, no, we couldn't do a vertical game because Perriman was out. First of all, when he was in the game, you didn't use him, but you didn't use him then because it was too soon. That was for later in the game because play action pass on first down just makes too much sense, right? Like that's like against the rules.
Am I imagining Chris Herndon stretching the field a little bit under Jeremy Bates up the seam? Am I just imagining that, or did that happen? Because I feel like it did.
Yeah, I mean, it's just insane. This is becoming my therapy.
Ours too.
Simon. I mean, yeah, I can't take it anymore. Like, this team drives me insane, man. Like, I've literally been angry all day yesterday and all day today. And then, of course, this is what the mailman does to me today. Like, I'm gonna strangle this guy, dude. Like, if you work in Somerset, if you hear about a problem in Somerset, New Jersey, with a mailman, it's probably gonna be me. He walks in with this big smile on his face. He's like, 3rd and 31. Dude, I was ready to the cup. I'm like, dude, you better leave. Like, it's not funny. It stays up to date for this.
My coworkers don't even say anything anymore. They just shake their head as soon as they see me, and that's it. They put their head down because they know.
Who's selling the replace a Gase shirts? I mean, go for it. Why not? There's a lot of bad shirts out there. Go for it. Let's see. How come other bad teams at least look like competent NFL teams? The Giants and Jaguars have looked competitive, and the Jaguars traded everybody away. Look at the Patriots. They had 8 guys that opted out. They have all kinds of things. They signed a quarterback 2 weeks before the season started. A lot of teams are facing adversity. Look at the 49ers. Look who came into MetLife Stadium yesterday. They came in battered and bruised on little sleep, West Coast team, 1:00 game. They lost more playmakers during the game, and we lost to Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins at times looked better than Sam Darnold did because he was just throwing to open receivers.
We're the only team that makes the excuses that we do for all these injuries. Other teams are losing much more talented players, replacing them without issue. They're showing a solid game plan. Like, if they had a week of solid practice to prepare, we don't show any of that. No imagination, no creativity, nothing to get you excited.
If Sam was a man, he'd ask for Gase to be fired to be traded. I mean, if I was Sam Darnold, I'd demand a trade. I'd be like, get me out of here, man. Like, this is just a mess. But he's starting to show a little bit of things at press conference. He's starting to share little comments where you're like, all right. Like, today was the first day, man, where he's like, you know what? Less talking, more actions. Like, he's starting to get, I mean, dude, you get worn down. You get tired of the media and the fans just trashing you every day.
No, and again, that's why I think Jamal Adams, he wanted out. He wanted nothing to do with this. He saw the direction of this team, this owner, Adam Gase, had enough of the losing, had enough of the press conferences afterwards, didn't want to be a part of it. And you just hope that it doesn't reach that point with Sam.
Let's see. Bold prediction time. Gase fired after a blowout loss to the Pats Week 9 on Monday Night Football. Couldn't tell you the record. So unpredictable or negatively predictable. I can tell you the game you're going to watch for. And this is the game where I have no faith against the Colts. That Broncos game on primetime TV, when the Broncos are going to be playing their backup quarterback, if they lose to Jeff Driscoll in embarrassing fashion on primetime TV, dude, that'll be the end of it. That will be the end of this team because there'll be no coming back from that. There's not. There will be there's no return from that one, man.
It should be, but again, you'll hear the excuses. It's only been a quarter of the season. I feel like they'll still give him every reason to at least continue through 8 or 9 weeks.
Chris Johnson doesn't watch the games is the next comment. You know what? Even if he watches them, obviously he's invested in the team. He wants to know
what he's watching, though.
He may be watching, but he doesn't know what he's saying because he's been bamboozled by Gase. He bought all this bullshit. I don't know how, and to watch what he's seen the last 2 weeks.
Well, it's easy to figure out how. When Gase speaks in training camp about offense and things like that, it sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Like there are moments where you're like, all right, this guy sounds smart. But when it comes to the actual coaching and the X's and O's and getting players to buy in, that's where he's completely lost. He has not proven he could do that.
He's being exposed, dude. Because he's been like, I'll give the media credit. The last 2 days, they're asking him legitimate game plan questions. On 4th and 1, why is there no audible? We didn't do that. On 4th and 7, why'd you do this? Why didn't you call a timeout here? And when he tries to explain himself, he exposes himself. Like, dude, you don't know what you're doing here. Like, you're in over your head. You cannot handle a rebuild. And that's the whole thing. It's like, well, they're rebuilding. Yeah, but he's not the guy for the rebuild. No. This not the guy you hand your piece of dough, like, a pizza dough. You don't give him the dough, man. Like, you get out of the kitchen, bro. You don't belong in here. You're out. Like, you can't. You're gonna burn yourself. It's. Yep. I can't take it, man. This is only week 2. I can't take it. Gase makes excuses like I've never seen from a head coach. I've seen coaches want to take, but accountability like they are supposed to. But Gase literally would say, sorry, their D was too good. Julian, you're right. He finds more excuses than any and more excuses and more scapegoats than anybody I've ever seen. Never. It's crazy. Like Rex Ryan be like, you know what? We made this mistake. We did this wrong. We did this wrong. Todd Bowles he'd take blame for a lot of stuff. This guy's like, nope, this play call was right. He literally says the play call was right. It would fail, and he'll be like, nope, it wasn't run right, which he's responsible for too.
And not to throw Sam under the bus here, but wasn't he the one that said today about the 4th and 1 call that if they just blocked it right, that it would have been a touchdown?
Sam said that.
Yeah, I'm like
nothing like yeah. The offensive line's probably like, bro, seriously, like, oh my god, yeah, it's just there are qualified head coaches on a staff. That's something we've been saying. Like, listen, if you want to pull the trigger tonight and say, you know what, Adam Gase, we just thought about it. Tomorrow's the off day. You're out. Like, change the keys. Go for it. Greg Williams, you're the coach. Done. You can make changes. Nope.
Can't be any worse than what we've seen so far.
Let's see. This is an interesting one. Is it a possibility Adam Gase is doing the same thing Phil Jackson did with the Knicks, purposely running the team into the ground, they get fired, take the money, and run? It seems like it, man. His explanation of last week seems like he just doesn't care.
He's not making enough money, I think, to do that. Especially being a second-time head coach. If you get fired from this job, you're not getting another one in all likelihood. All right. I don't know how many coaches out there have been fired twice without any kind of winning resume that get a third opportunity. I'm willing to guess it's very few, if any. So yeah, I think that Gase knows that if he doesn't do something to turn this around, he will not be a head coach and maybe not even be an offensive coordinator again.
What do you say they have to go? They have to go on the overdrive or super drive today to fix their mistakes? Some bullshit comment. There's zero benefit to keeping Gase at this point. I 1000% agree. I completely agree. There's no salvaging the season. You're not saving nothing. You're only making it worse. He's holding back your quarterback. He's holding back your offense. Like, you're not maximizing nobody. Who exactly is getting better under Gase? If anybody, it was Robbie Anderson last year. They actually opened up his route tree.
I was just going to ask, what's the one thing he does well? Who's the player that has improved under him? Like, if there was one or two things that you can point to and say, all right, you know what, this is something, there's nothing. And even worse, to a T, this is what happened in Miami. Everything, the injuries, alienating star players, the double-digit losses, all of it to a T is happening here.
Yep. Let's see. It is if you like winning, because things are going to go start clicking here pretty soon. I see the Jets going 9-7 by the end of the year. Right. I hope you're drinking a lot of booze tonight, Freedom, because there's no way in hell that you even believe that. You're just trolling us. But we're going to put you up there anyway. Steven, this is by far the worst Jets team. We're getting there, man. This is getting back to like those 4-12 years under Rex Ryan, where it was like Clyde Gates and all those guys out there, and like this is getting pretty bad, man. This is not, and it's not fun to watch. Like even like under Rex Ryan, at least they were competitive a lot of times. They had some fight, they had some like little emotion and energy, but this is.
I was gonna say that 2013 season. I mean, Rex was working with significantly less than what Gase has right now. Yet he got that team to 8-8, and they were competitive time and again. He had a rookie Geno Smith at quarterback. That team was competitive. I think they beat the Patriots and Falcons. They had some really good games that year in spite of the talent and all the excuses that Rex could have made. He didn't make it. And the team bought in, and you could see they enjoyed playing for him. You don't see that with Gase. You don't see that with these players playing for Gase.
Nope. All right. Joe Douglas is acting like he doesn't want Darnold. The reason why he hasn't put pieces around him, saving draft picks and could trade Sam if the Jets get the 1 or 2 pick. Just a theory.
It's an interesting theory. I mean, I hope it's not true. I'd like to believe what Douglas said when he took the job, that a big part of the reason that he took the job was because of Sam, being able to have a quarterback with 4 years on his rookie contract. But yeah, he's definitely not acting like it. Yes, he got him the offensive line, and you can't expect to fix everything in one offseason, but you're sitting on $30 million. You had all those draft picks. You need wide receivers. And yeah, it's frustrating, man.
Bowles or Gase, which was better coach in your opinion?
Easy, Bowles.
Yeah, I don't think it's not even a question here. Bowles is a respected leader of men.
And even with Bowles, like one of the biggest things in some of those really bad years was that we were competitive for 3 quarters and then we melted down in the 4th. That was the staple under Todd Bowles, It seemed like, with a lot of those teams. Yet here with Gase, it's double-digit losses, blowout by the 2nd quarter, garbage time touchdown, quitting. That's where we're at.
I just looked at our schedule, and we play Indy, Denver, Arizona, Bills, Pats, Miami. We honestly have a shot at being winless at the bye. Impossible not to make moves if that happens. Listen, I'm telling you right now, you lose to the Broncos on Thursday Night Football, you lose to a backup quarterback with a team that lost Cortland Sutton too, dude, that'd be, I mean, there's no turning back. Like, you're at the brink now. Like, when you have your allies in the media like Connor Hughes and Brian Costello saying, listen, this is unacceptable. Like, you're at the brink of losing your team and your job. 2 more bad losses, dude, especially on primetime television. Out.
Indy's going to be tough. Arizona, Buffalo, Pats, going to be tough. Denver, I think, is your only shot other than potentially beating Miami before the bye. So, yeah, at very best, you're looking at 2 wins, and even that, 2-7? That's not going to save his job. At least I don't think.
Next one, Adam Gase, Pop Warner football team head coach. I mean, that's saying a lot for him. Let's see. The setup assumes the owner knows enough about football to make the critical decisions. Problem is, Chris Johnson is a fool. That is 100% correct. When you have a guy that doesn't know what he's doing about trying to run his football team, and now he has Adam Gase with too much power, too much control, making too many mistakes. That's right. I mean, what else you could say it?
He is not qualified to make football decisions. And I mean, again, that's why he had McCagnon, do a big part in this hire and, running the process. Yet, he still takes a call from Peyton Manning and says, oh, this is the guy that you want here.
This comment's right for you, Primetime. This is right up our alley. Get a wide receiver, run 4 and 5 wide sets. Sam run that offense at USC and pick people apart. Tempo. Sam thrives in tempo. You could see it. His energy rises. He gets more confident. He starts slinging the ball around. It's a much better, more fluent offense. And that's what he's good at.
Even Sunday, at times when they were moving the ball, they were going to some empty sets, yet they still weren't taking a whole lot of shots as far as play action goes, getting 2 tight ends involved. Like, there's just little things that we could be doing. And the biggest thing, like, the comment just mentioned, is tempo. Getting up to the line of scrimmage quick. Adam Gase could be in the headset calling out certain things if he's, actually awake and has a clue with what's going on the defense. Help your young quarterback out. Get up to the line of scrimmage quick. Have a game plan. Keep the defense on their heels instead of, what we're doing now, which is, you're just waiting to be picked apart.
Explain to me how Bowles had a worse offense and moved the ball better. Respect the guy. People believed in Bowles. He's a leader of men. It's a much better organization then. They were. There was more accountability there. I mean, it's just a different coach, man.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're speaking about the offense, I mean, Bowles typically was hands off with a lot of the offense. So, I mean, you give more credit, I think, to, Jeremy Bates and John Morton and even Chan Gailey a little bit that first year, when they went 10-6. That wasn't so much Todd Bowles as it was, the offensive coordinators. And even those guys, were run out of town for not being good enough. So if they weren't good enough, how are we looking at this offense now under Adam?
Chan Gailey retired.
Exactly. So how are we looking at this offense now under Adam Gase and saying, yes, this is progress. This is the direction that we want to go in?
Joe Douglas is a fraud. He couldn't get Sam weapons and can't keep his best player. He's getting ran over by Gase. Exactly. He's a spineless GM. Listen, it's a concern. It's definitely a concern because you don't know what level of power Adam Gase has within this organization. Now, when those questions come up, all of these sources in the building tell the story that that's not the case. But of course, they're going to say that. They're not going to say, you know what, Adam Gase has too much power. They don't want that to be, revealed. But that remains to be seen, man. We don't know, but it's concern. Like this Miami running back, they're dying to have this Balaj. Like first they tried trading for him, which we knew he was bad. I mean, in theory he's bad, and then they signed him anyway because he failed the physical.
And not Bilal Powell.
Yeah,
so that tells you pretty much what you need to know. That Gase does have a lot of power, and at some point, Douglas needs to put his foot down. Because if he doesn't, then yes, he will be that spineless GM that allows his head coach to just dictate all these moves. And still, unfortunately, I mean, he's going to be able to pick his head coach. And that's what drives me nuts about this, is that he's just going to take his time and let this play out, evaluate all these guys throughout the year, and we'll see what happens.
If the Jets lose a Phillip Rivers, season over. I mean, the Colts are a better team. Frank Reich, they're a quality organization with just a great coach, great players, physical, smart. I mean, they're a well-coached team, and they should lose. They lose to the Broncos, though. That's when let's see. We got here. If Gase takes this team to the first pick, I would trade out to a team like Jacksonville, who has a ton of picks in 2021, and build around Sam. I agree.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do.
You can give a haul for him. And this go ahead.
I was going to say, they're saying this wide receiver class is just as talented as last year's now, Jamar Chase and a few other guys that are coming out. So if you can get Sam a legitimate number one, a stud on the interior of the offensive line, another wide receiver to complement Mims also, like now you're talking about having like some legitimate weapons, maybe even a running back in there too.
Yep. We got this a lot today. Hire Harbaugh, give him anything he wants. This is Jim. I wanted John badly before he re-signed with the Ravens. I mean, he hasn't done well with Michigan, but he did a phenomenal job with the 49ers, But that's the kind of guy, to be honest with you, that's the kind of presence and kind of guy you need in your organization, which like credibility, power, respect, a program, a proven NFL program, won the Super Bowl. Like that's the kind of guy you have. But now the question is, will Chris Johnson pay a guy like that? Because the Jets never pay coaches.
Nope. And that's what you worry about. That they're just going to try and bring in, somebody that they can mold, somebody that's going to, get along with Joe Douglas, and not somebody that's kind of going to do things his own way and be respected.
I thought I saw a bad team with the Sanchez-Tebow debacle season. Jets this year, hold my beer. I mean, this is bad, man. This is like that 3rd and 31 was mind-blowing. An 80-yard touchdown run with untouched is mind-blowing. The, kicking field goals when you're down by 21 points. I mean, this stuff is just it's just
the analytics said to kick the field goal, so that's what you got to do, right?
Yep. Yeah, the analytics. How does having another head coach hurt Sam? Look at Baker's had 3 coaches.
4.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm at this point, firing Gase is a positive. Like you're actually helping your quarterback because we've just broken down all the plays that don't make any sense. Yep. Damian Woody, who's very prominent, saying, "Look at the play calling. Like it's not helping him. You're not letting him spread the field." Brandon Thorne, like there's 4 or 5 different analysts that give you like legitimate X's and O's saying, look at this. There's never going to work. You're never going to, like it's so easy to defend.
Yeah, you're subtracting a problem. So I don't understand how that could hurt Sam at all. And whoever you install, hopefully that person would take a little bit more input from Sam as far as, what works for him, what he'd like to do a little bit more. I know we were talking about how, Sam last year went to Adam Gase's office and said what the offense should be doing. Like, so what happened? What happened since then? If that was a legitimate conversation where you had a heart-to-heart about what works and what doesn't, why is this still the product that we're seeing?
Next comment. We ran on first down 5 straight times. Gibby, you're right. And, dude, I was begging for play action pass. It was there. Like, you could see it. And that's how you go down the field. You spread, like, this isn't rocket science, man. Like, I'm just a fan that drinks beer. Like, I don't sit there and study film. I don't go to, like, all this other shit. I don't care about that. But it's rocket science. Dude, it's like, it's there. They're biting on the run. They're stacking the box. They're looking to hit Frank Gore. Change it up. It's just
play action does not exist in Adam Gase's playbook, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it's just wild, dude. Like, I really can't take it. Just take a deep shot downfield. You'd have a chance to draw a flag. Or how about this? Take a shot to the end zone once in a while. And it's like, why not take a shot in the end zone on 3rd down, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 7? like you have all these big. You have Chris Herndon. You have Ryan Griffin. You have all these big athletes, right? Why so conservative, man?
No, even last night we saw it when the Patriots were trying to make their comeback. They were taking shots downfield. They drew a couple penalties. Like, you got to take some chances. Otherwise, you literally have no chance because these wide receivers are not making anybody miss underneath.
I would take that bad Rex Ryan team over this team every day. This team right now is very difficult to root for. I mean, like, obviously we're hoping them to win, but there's no glimmer of hope. Like, you enjoy Becton, you enjoy seeing Quentin Williams do something. You feel bad for Sam Darnold. Like, he's becoming a sympathetic figure at this point. You just feel bad for him. He's a good kid trying to do the right thing. But who's the face of the franchise right now? Like, is there one facet of this team we're proud of? The new uniforms? Like, what is it? Like, what are we proud of here? Like, what's your, like, if you had to go out and buy a jersey right now, I guess it'd be what, Becton?
Probably Sam. I mean, but I have Sam already, so.
I'm saying, like, if you're a new fan, like, you're like, oh, you know what? I need a new jersey. Who'd you buy? I mean, half these guys won't even be here next year, including Sam. He could be gone too for all we know.
But that's a great point about Rex Ryan's, though. Those bad teams, they still played hard for him. It was fun to root for those teams. It was not fun watching those games, but like, it was easy to get behind those teams and to get behind Rex. But to try and sit here and get behind Adam Gase and these players right now with minimal effort and what we're seeing on the field, it's impossible to root for.
Coaching will always matter more than talent. I agree with football, especially this. Right? Yep. This is an excellent point by Nick. I mean, a great coach can get so much more out of your team. They can overachieve. That's how you find your diamonds in the rough. It's breakout years of all this stuff. There's nobody going to thrive in this environment right now. Nobody.
Look all around the league. Rookie quarterbacks, backup quarterbacks, first-time quarterbacks like Cam Newton in the new system. Doesn't matter about all these restrictions in the offseason, no preseason. Those coaches have those teams ready to play. Those coaches have those quarterbacks ready to play. Injuries, doesn't matter. They make adjustments. We don't.
Bronco fan here. My team is competitive and loses close games. Isn't it easier and better if your team just gets killed so you can get a very high draft pick like the Jets? No, listen, man. I don't. If you want to sit through 16 games, you get blown out every week. I'll pass on that. And there's nothing productive about that. There's no way you're not developing any kind of momentum with that. I mean, being competitive. I mean, well, you guys are hurt now too. With Drew Lock's out a while and Cortland Sutton's out, so no.
I just enjoy watching competitive football. Even those Todd Bowles years, like we were just saying, get to the fourth quarter, have a game, like you could respect that a little bit. But this 21-3 at the half, I mean, 42 points in the last two games at the half.
Yeah.
You can't root for that.
How likely is it we see a player mutiny if it gets extremely bad? It's only a matter of time, man. It's only a matter of time. The finger pointing is going to start. Greg Williams is going to start his shit because it's going to hit the fan. And it's going to matter. I'm telling you, I guarantee the story's going to come out. Players are missing meetings. Players are missing late to practice. This is going on. Guys are hanging out in the training room. This is all so predictable, man. It's just, you can see it.
Yep, just give it a few more weeks.
Here we go. Jeff Driscoll is going to light us up. I tell you what, if that happens, our post-game show, that's going to probably be but that's on Thursday night. It's going to be probably about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning.
That's going to be fun.
You guys are going to be in for a treat, man, with that one. Oh, my goodness. If we lose to the Broncos, we're going to start the season at least 0-9. Oh, God. I mean, I couldn't even imagine. Let's see. We'll do a few more. I feel really bad for Bell. He's wasting his career in New York. He was fun to watch in Pittsburgh, but he had an offensive line. Well, right now he's not wasting anything. He's just hanging out, getting better. But I'm telling you, prime time, he's getting traded at the deadline. I guarantee you Bell's getting traded at the deadline. He's not going to be here.
I still hate the idea of that. If it's coming from Douglas, okay, because he's the guy that should be making all these football decisions. But if it's because he's not fitting in Adam Gase's system, Gase doesn't want him, that's a problem. Gase should not be dictating that move if he's not going to be here long term. If you have any questions about Adam Gase and how much longer he's going to be the head coach, you do not allow him to trade off a piece like Le'Veon Bell. You don't do it. When you need playmakers and weapons, Le'Veon Bell is supposed to be that. We were talking as soon as he got signed, we hadn't had a playmaker like him since who? Since Curtis Martin?
Yep.
I mean.
Next comment, why don't they have Darnold outside the pocket throwing on the move? That's what he's good at, and that's what all these other quarterbacks are doing. Look at his touchdown pass to Berrios. That's exactly what he did after he escaped all kinds of chaos, right?
Yeah.
That's when he gets confident. Like you could see he's scanning the field. He's got a cannon of an arm. He can make any throw. That's what he does best. Roll, especially when the pocket's collapsing a little bit.
And that's what I also hate with watching some of this stuff is that, it does appear like he's becoming a robot, a check down machine, just trying to, manage the offense according to Gase's play calls. And that's the last thing you want to see from a guy that can do as much as he could do.
Gase holds players back. He likes the T's to be the star, tight ends to be the star. Well, not Chris Herndon.
And not Giuseppe in Miami either when he had him.
Not Ryan. Oh, Ryan Griffin last year got some plays, but this week, this last week against the 49ers, you would think Herndon be featured like a 6-7 catch game because they have nobody else. Everybody's banged up. Still nothing. So
Herndon didn't play well, though.
No. How can an NFL coach say we don't have a play call for 4th and 7 because of personnel and still be employed? Steven, I have no idea, man. I don't have the answers for you with that one. It makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Of all the comments we've heard the last 2 weeks, when he said that, I lost it.
Yeah, I mean, there's been like comments yesterday and today that just blows your mind, man. You're like, there's no way this is an NFL coach saying this. Like, how does nobody hold him accountable? Like, that should be stories like all day tomorrow. Like, should be all over sports media. Like, how does an NFL coach, like this arrogant guy that has the worst offensive football, coming up with these excuses and people are buying it and then blaming Sam?
And that's why I hope the media keeps going after him and that they don't just let up.
This is good. There's one for you. Bring back freaking Jeremy Bates.
Sam was playing better under Jeremy Bates. It's a fact.
It is definitely a fact.
Not even question it at this point. He was playing better under Jeremy Bates.
Going into this season, was thinking 8-8 borderline wild card. Now, when I look at the schedule, it is tough to find 2 wins now after these games. I think as a group, we did a preview show asking all these predictions. Everybody's like, 6-10, 7-9, maybe sneak into playoffs 8-8, like be competitive. Like we were saying, what? The wild card spot could be maybe 8-8. You have a shot at that. How quickly things change in 2 weeks, huh?
It's amazing.
It's pathetic is what it is. Let's see. Not a Jets fan, but love your guys' show. Best part of Gase's press was him trying to rationalize the field goal. Then the very next answer, he says, we can't kick field goals when they are scoring touchdowns. Well, thank you for watching, first of all. But now, dude, I agree. Like that field goal made no sense. Like you sit there, like you get this inner rage. Like I don't know how you get to, but I start screaming at the TV. I'm like, you can't be for real with this. Gase loves field goals, man. He's like, we used to rip Todd Bowles for this. Remember we used to rip him for the same thing?
It's not even loving field goals. It's loving meaningless points that make the loss look worse or less worse than it actually was. That's what he's a master of. These meaningless field goals and garbage time touchdowns that take, a 17 or 21 point loss and make it only, 13 or 10 points. Oh, we were, a few plays away. Bullshit.
And the thing is, he's supposed to be so intelligent and so like just innovative and a guru, and like he caves in a big spot under pressure. He caves with his play calling. He chokes. Like he'll never win a Super Bowl. He'll never win playoff games. He cannot handle a big spot in pressure. He chokes. He gets conservative. He can't handle it. Then his face stuck in his pad, and he's got to start drawing again.
And that's another thing. How many times do we have to watch different coaches up and down the sideline, communicating with other coaches, communicating with players, their quarterback? Does he talk to anybody during the game other than whoever's in his headset? I haven't seen it.
Never. It's either that, his head is buried in his pad, or he's sitting on the bench, like sitting next to Sam. You never see him talking to Sam. You see him sitting next to him.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Like Sam's just trying to tune him out.
We knew this before he was even hired that it wasn't going to work. I'm just glad it's almost over. Listen, Adam Gase is as advertised. Every concern, every problem that we thought could happen is exactly what happened. And this is when all his defenders, which have all gone into hiding now, that's all conveniently, they've all evaporated. We know a lot of them. They're like, oh, you guys are just so negative. You know what you're talking about. Gase can do this and Gase can do that. Every legitimate concern that was documented prior to this hire is exactly what's happened here.
Yeah, and Tyson, you know me long enough. I've never, ever been one to root for the tank, even in the Josh McCown years. Like, I hate rooting for losses. That's not me, ever. This is one of the first times where it's like, if it's just going to get Gase out of here, is that not the better outcome to help save Sam, get a new voice in his head, salvage his career? Like, we can't allow this to continue. We know what Gase is. It's criminal to allow this to continue going on.
Yeah, this is horrendous. Guys, to be honest, what coach would want to come to this organization that is known as a joke and run by incompetent brothers? I'm going to tell you right now, we talked about this last night. All you're going to say is you're going to have a top 3 pick. You're going to have among the most cap space in the NFL. In theory, you have Sam Darnold. And you have a front office that, according to most, is very strong, that's been revamped with excellent scouts, Joe Douglas, like that. That's a selling point. The thing is, you got to spend money on them. You can't chintz out and say, you know what? You want $8 million a year? We're going to give you $4 million a year, and you got to inherit our special teams coach, our ball boy, and the flight crew. No, that's not how it works.
Well, that's exactly how we got Joe Douglas in here. Douglas didn't want this job initially, yet once we were willing to give him 6 years, we upped the contract to like 2 point something million per year. Then he was okay taking the job. It's going to have to be a similar approach with your head coach. You're going to have
tax.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to have to pay that Jets tax and hope for the best. Hope that a guy's willing to come in here and trust that, Sam's the guy and he's got the resources to work with, and you're going to give him a couple years.
I broke my TV remote after the first play of the game. I unloaded. Like, I used more F words in a matter of 4 seconds. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this isn't.
I wasn't even that upset watching it because I knew this was what was going to happen. Trying to think that Adam Gase was going to make the right adjustments and have a game plan going up against Kyle Shanahan. Those two guys are night and day as far as offensive minds, offensive brilliance. It's not even comparable.
Yeah, so now I didn't see this comment from McDougald, and you mentioned it too. We got a couple of messages on that. What did McDougald say? He
basically said that they haven't had a good week of practice yet.
Jesus Christ, did he really?
I don't know if that's a direct quote, but I'm pretty certain. I'll check right now.
Because we had a couple comments on there both saying the same thing. And
again, he's a guy that's coming from Seattle, a well-run team, well-run organization, so he knows what a good practice ideally should look like.
Yeah. While you find that, the next comment, 2 good things the Jets have, a left tackle and a defensive tackle. Listen, we got it. Listen, we were hard on Quentin Williams. We got to give him credit for playing well. We do. He played very well, 2 sacks. He looked explosive. He looked physical. And then Becton has been phenomenal. I mean, for all the things being thrown at him, especially with the guy next to him being struggling a little bit, Becton's been great. He's got more passion and fire than half the team at this point, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, having a true stud at left tackle, and if Quinnen could start to really be a force up the middle, I mean, those are 2 pieces to move forward with. So a little positive.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to find that comment because we had a couple comments on that. I didn't see that comment though. Gase is so stubborn and delusional. He believes that his plays are working when clearly they're not. NFL coaching is about making adjustments, and Gase will never get it. That's spot on, Steven. Spot on. And especially when they ask him, like, why didn't you call this certain play? And he's like, well, I'm going to do that later. He has, like, in his head what he wants to call and when he wants to call it. And when adversity strikes, he ignores it. He's like, he doesn't acknowledge it. No, that's not going to happen. I'm going to keep calling. Like, he's like a robot, dude. I must call this play. I must call it. It's insanity.
No, the stubborn part is spot on. He wants to do it his way, and he's not going to adjust. Le'Veon Bell was the best case with that, a Hall of Fame caliber player that you turned into absolutely nothing in your offense, yet you're still out here making excuses about why your offense is right, why you're making the right play calls, why the injuries were affecting what you were doing. It's always something.
Watching every other team in the league and the speed they are playing on, when the Jets get on the field, it's like someone hit my slow motion button on my remote. That's fact, dude. Like, we look like we're in a different league, man. Like, you watch, teams are flying around. The pace of their offense is better. The defenses are more physical. They're explosive. And you watch us, and you're like, what in the hell is this? Like, we look like we're a JV team. Like, we're like a, you know what I mean? It's just annoying, man.
No game plan whatsoever.
There goes. Darnold isn't allowed to audible at the line of scrimmage. Gase has no faith in him. Gase too stubborn to have his play changed. Facts.
Yep.
Kyle, that's a fact, man. We can't even, like, this is just.
And if I'm Darnold, I just do it anyway. What's Gase going to do?
Yep. No, and that's it. And and I'm glad it's getting more and more exposed as we go on, man. That's the best part of this. Yep. Yes, coaching is more important than talent. The loss to the 49ers is a prime example of that. They basically had backups in and smoked us. Fact. I mean, some of these comments, dude, are hysterical.
Still trying to find the McDougald quote.
Would the GOAT Dowell Loggins save this team? No. Dowell Loggins can't save himself, man. He doesn't know. I don't know what he does other than hold the flag. He's
the Casey Rogers on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, that's what he is.
That's really what he is. Seems like Jenkins is already questioning the coaching. He is.
He's questioning a lot of things.
But that's the kind of leadership you want, dude. When he knows there's no effort, there's questionable shit going on behind the scenes. That's why I'm telling you, it's only a matter of time for things come out. Because he's on a 1-year deal, unfortunately. I would wish he got a 3-year deal and kept him around. Because he's kind of the guys you want. He plays hard. He plays physical. He actually cares about winning and losing. That's the kind of guy you want. And he's starting to call things out.
See, but I also wonder how much Adam Gase wanted some of the guys that were from the old regime that had a little bit of a voice in that locker room to hang around. They shipped out Jamal. They got rid of Winters and a few others that were here. You wonder if they don't want guys like that, sadly.
See, prime time, you're entertaining, man. You guys are very entertaining. See that?
Appreciate it.
And he's drinking water tonight, too. He's not even drinking his Trulies.
I'm numb today. I was pissed off yesterday. Needed to give my liver a chance to recover. So,
And then we had two people ask for your assessment of Trulies. What does it taste like, the lemonades, man? They want to know what your assessment is.
I'm gonna be honest, it's delicious and it goes down super easy, and then it usually just hits you all at once after like 3 or 4. So
there's for those asking, that's what his assessment is of the Trulies. Apparently, people are going to hold a protest in front of the Jets practice facility this Thursday at 1.
is that
Whatever.
true?
I have no idea. That's what they're telling us.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, what is it going to do? I mean, what are we going to do here? I mean, it's
Listen, like you
if
said,
anything, you know what's going to happen, dude? You know what happens? It makes the Jets not make a move because they're going to be like, you know what? We're not going to react to the fans by doing this. That's what's going to happen.
no, they're not going to react to it. But like you said, though, they hate the negative PR. They hate being a laughing stock of the league, and that's what they are right now. And the more it's in their face, I feel like the better it is. Let them see.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. Trade Bell and Henry Anderson for a wide receiver, a top wide receiver. I mean, you're not going to get much. I mean, I liked Henry Anderson. I thought he brought a lot to the table when he first came here, but it's been ugly ever since, man. I'm not really sure what happened. If Greg Williams isn't using him the way he wants to use him, or then Bell's hurt.
Yeah,
I mean,
Henry Anderson isn't getting you anything in a trade. I mean, they tried to shop him this offseason with his contract. You're not getting anything. He's been far from the player that he was when he earned that contract. And Le'Veon Bell right now, he's injured, so I don't know what you're getting back for him.
This is a good one. Doesn't this prove Jamal Adams was right the entire time? Does this make Jet fans hate him any less?
Can I answer that one?
Go right ahead.
What
was a softball to you?
The only thing I hated was the way he forced his way out and kind of, threw the fans and everyone else under the bus who kind of elevated him to that stature of Prez. Other than that, I did not hate Jamal one bit for not wanting to be a part of this team, this organization, or the direction that we were heading in. He saw through all of this. He's a winning player that does not like losing, and he did not see an end to this. He did not want to be a part of it, and I don't blame him for that. He has every right, especially when they wouldn't even pick up the phone to negotiate a contract with him. He outperformed his deal throughout the first 3 years, and he's watching other draft picks, like I think 4 or 5 of them now from his draft class, have gotten signed to an extension. Yet he was willing to play under his same rookie contract for a better organization. That speaks volumes about what's wrong with this team.
Justin Herbert came in yesterday and looked better than Darnold. That's an indictment of Gase. They need to open up Darnold's game. No arguments here, man. I mean, I don't really know what to say. I mean, that's just there's this example all throughout the NFL. All these teams with young quarterbacks and injuries and everything else, everybody's maximizing their resources. Gase is making excuses. Simple as that. I mean, let's see. We'll do a couple more here, prime time. I agree with this one. Worst thing that happened was that 6-2 finish at the end of last season. We all knew it was a mirage and result of an easy schedule. 1-15 last year, and he's one and done. He was on the verge of getting fired last year, man. There was a time last year I like this guy ain't gonna make it. That loss, the loss to the Bengals, the loss to the Dolphins. That last game of the season, that was embarrassing. They celebrated like they did, but and that was their whole rallying cry the entire offseason. 6-2.
To me, though, the 6-2 finish shouldn't have mattered at all, especially when it was carried in large part by the defense. The offense didn't do anything crazy, to elevate themselves. And again, that's what he was brought in here for, to be the offensive mind, to get Sam to that next level. And he didn't show anything like he was going to do that. And again, you were facing backup quarterbacks. You had every reason to win some of those games at least. So I didn't take much stock in any of that.
This is an interesting comment. Joe Flacco will be starting soon. Could you imagine?
God help us.
Like I'm glad that Sam showed a glimpse this week where he showed some progress, not progress, but he played much better. He thrown the ball around, made some great throws. But if there's a point where Joe Flacco plays this year, I mean, Jesus Christ, that would be the end, dude. That'd be it. I mean, that's completely rock bottom at that point.
What's Flacco going to do that Sam can't? Flacco's less mobile, so all these
brittle,
all this time that we're seeing Sam get out of the way of pressure on the run, making some throws. Like, what's Flacco going to do?
Darnold's press conference today told it all. He sounded dejected because he knows it's a lost cause.
Sounded the same last week too.
Yep. No, I mean, we'll do a couple more at prime time. I'm trying to get through all. There's a lot of them on here. Holy Christ. James Morgan will be starting soon. My goodness, this is just. I don't know what else we got here. Dude, trying to find some good ones for you, man. I know you're anxious to see what's going on in our messages.
Oh God, I can only imagine.
Good. I think that's it. It's so weird when it refreshes. I lose my spot. I'm not. Just keep out where we're going. Let's see. Jets fans, don't give up on your young quarterback. Never quit him until you know what he is. That's a fair point. It's a very fair point. So,
especially when you've seen the flashes and you've done nothing to help him out. So he's proven at this point, I think, that he can bounce back from adversity. He's made some throws. It's just a matter of doing it consistently and giving him the pieces to actually do that.
All right, and the rest are all pretty much the same stuff. So, Primetime, what are your – first of all, we want to thank everybody for joining us. What are your final thoughts here, man, as we wrap up our day after show?
Yeah, I mean, this is the moment where we kind of put the loss behind us a little bit, and until we get to the callers tomorrow night. Yesterday was yesterday was a fun show. You get the anger out, and then today it's a little bit more level-headed. We try to evaluate it a little bit more. So again, definitely appreciate everybody that's tuning in, listening to this. Hopefully we've got some wins or some positivity to talk about soon. We don't like doing this, ripping the team, but we're not going to sit here and lie to you guys and tell you something that's that's false. So.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody tuning in. We try to do an hour. We did an hour and a half. We do it 1 hour after the game. Tomorrow night, we take phone calls on Blog Talk. Friday night, we do our preview show at 8 o'clock. We did a lot of shows here, man. But we appreciate all the feedback, all the support, and spreading the word. It's been a lot of fun. And I would not mind waking up to Adam Gase being fired tomorrow. So that's it. It's off day, man. Maybe fire him.
Let's hope.
Talk to you guys later.
Later.